So once again, a very, very happy Monday to everybody. I want to apologize to those watching this because the Monday webinar is usually wide open to everyone, but Omnovia, my software that I use for these webinars, was giving me some pretty serious grief today, and the link wasn't working. So we have no visitors today, just all of the regulars, which, hey, we love the regulars. But sorry that visitors were unable to attend. And it should be fixed and up and running by next week for sure. Okay, so just a reminder, it's always the start of the week. Great time to get a free trial to the trading group. You can do that at daytradersfx.com. Let's dig right into it. Let's dig right into what we have going on here. One thing I do actually want to show is just a little bit of what we have been up to this week so far. We have some trades. We just had the pound yen close. We closed pound yen for some nice profit. Now, some people did get stopped out of this because of the spread, but it only came within 15 pips or so from my stop on this one. I know some people got stopped out. I did get stopped out. I know some people had better results than I did on this gold trade because I left my stop at 1165. We got in at 1160, so I took a 50 pip hit on gold, even though it's nicely come back now. But here's a little reminder of some of the trades that we've taken. So euro dollar, we made some nice pips on euro dollar. We made some pips on euro dollar again. Dollar yen, 105 pips, 200 pips on gold. Stopped out at 55 on Aussie New Zealand, sadly, and we are absolutely going to get back into that one. So we've had some really good runs here. Pound yen, 230 pips, a little -3 there, -38, 25. And 100 plus. So we've had some really nice trades, and it's been a really, really good run. A couple of 90 pip closeouts, and we've got a really good rhythm going on to manage and deal with the trends and to deal with the reversals. And so it's been really, really great. And we have plenty of more new, fantastic, excellent setups coming. So let's talk about what those are. These are some of the pairs that we're looking at. Yeah, Amy, it might be. Remember, it's always internet on one side or the other. So it might be good to just log out and log back in, or restart your internet. Sometimes that internet can be a little bit of a problem. So sorry about that. So these are the pairs I'm looking at: Aussie, New Zealand, gold. Pretty much all the yen pairs, pretty much all of them except for the Aussie yen. Aussie CAD, New Zealand dollar. These are all looking excellent. So let's talk about, you guys will notice something interesting here is there's no euro dollar, there's no pound dollar, because, excuse me, these pairs, euro dollar and pound dollar, are kind of in the middle. There's not really anything that I'm excited about on those ones. And if we just take a quick little look here at euro dollar, it's just kind of in the middle. I think we're still going to see a move down into 120 on euro dollar, but we probably won't get that set up for a couple of weeks. Realistically, I don't know if we're going to have a trade on euro dollar for at least several days, if not a week or two or three. And kind of the same thing on pound dollar. I've got an idea or two on pound dollar for this week, but I'm going to let that one develop, and I'll save that for the group if we get into it at all. But, again, things that I am excited about, going back to that list, Aussie New Zealand is a great, and also great-looking setup. So I'm really excited to get into this Aussie New Zealand, when and if it sets up for us. So this is going to be a really, really great one to look at. Aussie New Zealand has topped out pretty nicely here. Nice little triple top. It's right up around that 1300 area. That's kind of where our highest point is, and I really like that. So I will be long above 1300 Aussie New Zealand for sure, without a doubt. We're going to attack this thing and just go for it. However, it's kind of right in the middle. This is a daily chart we're looking at, and it's right in the middle, and I want to see a pretty decent dip. I want to see this thing drop down like 100 pips. I would buy around 110 Aussie New Zealand, around that trend line, 200 moving average on the daily chart and so on. I would buy the heck out of this Aussie New Zealand, trade it on up into 11300 and then through those highs. So that's what I'm looking for on this Aussie New Zealand. I think it's just a great little setup, and it's going to give us something good. So again, it's got to move, it's got to move about 100 pips down or even more up to get in on the breakout or the dip. But that's going to happen sometime this week, and that's going to give us a nice opportunity to buy. So let's keep an eye on 110 area, and it might even be 110.15, 110.20, somewhere in that general area. But let's buy that dip on Aussie New Zealand and look for great opportunities to trade it on up through. And of course, if we get a move beyond 11300 without any dips, then we'll just buy the break and we'll trade that thing up. One thing that New Zealand and Australian pairs do really good at is react to huge historic levels, and we absolutely have that on Aussie New Zealand. So this is a monthly chart. If I zoom it out, you can see that there's a huge triple bottom down here at about 105 100 area. We obviously had a little spike through there, but that level is held for 20 years. 20 years. That's pretty amazing. I think the first time it hit, I was probably still in diapers or something, and then it's I wish 15-year-old in diapers, right? But it has held that level really well, and if it gets back up above this 11300, we've got, I would say a minimum movement. If we look at fib levels on this, just from this recent high to this move down right here, it has topped out at the 23% fib. So again, crossing that 11300 is also going to be crossing a 23% fib, which puts our next profit target at least 475 pips away at the 38% fib at 117.65. So I love Aussie New Zealand a ton. I think that's a great trade. So we're going to be jumping into that one as soon as it sets up. Okay, that is Aussie New Zealand. Next on my list is gold. I love gold. So remember, we had a gold trade. We sold this break, which I love still. We sold this break of 1160, and it was in some pretty. This was just a bummer of a deal. It was in some pretty nice profit. In fact, at its best point, it was up over 200 pips. 275 pips it was in profit, and then it ended up reversing and running back up almost 200 pips from our entry. And so I got stopped out. Remember, we had our stops at 1165. I got stopped out on that. I didn't even want to lock in profit because I just wanted to let gold have as much room as it needed to have. Stopped me out, and then it came right back into profit. It's 50 pips again to the good from our original entry, but I'm out. I got stopped out. I heard several people were able to lock in profit, which was a great idea. You should always lock in profit when you're almost 300 pips in profit. So, in retrospect, I handled that trade kind of horrifically, but I really wanted to. It wasn't an emotional move. I wanted to let gold have as much room as it could potentially have to play out, and I figured it might be getting a little bit oversold, but it made a bigger retracement than I think anyone had anticipated, and it did it pretty quick too. So over several hours, it ran up $45 or about 450 pips. So kind of an intense movement. But gold is back and it's looking very good. And at this point, I'm probably going to do some sort of momentum trade on this and just continue trading this down and sell the breaks of. I could go with the lows of 1130. I'll probably look for shorting it below 1138, 1137, right around there. Gold will reach $1,000. I'm telling you, it's going to get there. And if it doesn't get to $1,000, the very minimum is going to get to 1,088, which gives us hundreds and hundreds of pips of movement that we're going to get a piece of when it makes that move. So be prepared on gold. We'll have some more trades coming. We're going to sell any rallies we can get our hands on. Or sell breaks. So I like gold, and I think it's really excellent looking. That 1182 level up here, you can see, is still very important, and that's a great area. So it's a good area to trade against. But we were getting a little bit overextended on this 1 hour chart, so we kind of reset that, and now it's just headed right back down again. So anyways, gold is looking good. I love it. Creeping up into the yen pairs. The yen pairs are moving all over the place, and I'm looking to kind of sell some yen rallies. So as dollar yen, pound yen, some of these pairs continue pushing, I want to sell those rallies. One reason I'm not looking at the Aussie yen is there's a bunch of reasons really, but the 1 hour chart has only moved 325 pips of an 885 pip maximum movement according to the indicator, and that's just not enough. But when we have these ones like dollar yen on the 1 hour chart has gone 645 of a max pip movement of 577. So this is all very good. This means that this pair is once again getting a little bit overbought, and it's going to be ready to make some moves down. So what I'm going to be looking for is some rising wedges to happen here, and to get us into some nice breakouts to the sell side. And I think we're going to have a great opportunity on that dollar yen. So let's be ready there. Let's jump into that thing as soon as we have the opportunity, and it should be a really nice little trade. So liking that one a lot, but we've got to get a little bit of a better setup before we can start shorting this. Again, there's going to be opportunities to buy the break of the high. 115.50 is going to be a potential, but it's oversold or it's overbought enough that I would be pretty cautious and not excited about trying to stick with the trend on this one. I think all the yen pairs are going to continue considerably higher and stay in a nice long-term trend, but I think they need to correct first. We're seeing some good signs of overextended setups, so those need to correct before I really want to jump into those. So that's dollar yen. Pound yen, same kind of situation on pound yen. So I'm looking for pound yen. This is a great little setup. You can see max pips on this one. Current max pips 958. Previous max pips 772. We're at 300 bars. This is just all very good looking. So it's almost run 1,000 pips, whereas it normally only goes about 775-ish. So this is a great little move on pound yen. So I like this. It's kind of looking at a little quasi head and shoulders pattern on this 4 hour chart. I think if we can get below, at this point my level on pound yen is 181.00. So if we can get below, if we can get to like 180.95, 90, right in that general area, that's going to be my sell zone. Now we are going to have, you can see this little low right there of the week is about 181.08. So again, we just want to just a few pips below 181.00 is where I want to start jumping into this thing. You can see that if we do trade the break of that, we're going to be to the 200 moving average in about 70 pips or so on the 1 hour chart, but the 4 hour chart has got a good little bit of room to move. And I love this missed weekly pivot and daily pivot over here at 178.00. I would target like 179.00 and see if we can grab 200 pips out of this, because I don't think it's a good idea to try to push any sell trades on yen pairs. I don't want to push the sell. I really want to get a little bit of the correction, and then I want to buy dips as all of these yen pairs pull back. I want to buy the dip on dollar yen. I want to buy the dip on pound yen and euro yen and all the rest. I don't know if I'm so excited about buying the dip on euro yen. I'm pretty excited about trading the break on euro yen, but definitely want to buy the dip on pound yen. Definitely want to buy the dip on dollar yen. But let's look for these little corrections, these little breakouts, and trade these down into some of these nice targets. Euro yen's doing the same thing. We have this kind of interesting looking almost head and shoulders pattern, but we've got a nice little trend line that I like. Euro yen looks really good on 1 hour chart. Remember the 1 hour is, whoops, there we go. The 1 hour chart is, again, current max pips have run more than the previous maximum pips, 89%, 300 bars. It's all looking very, very good. So same thing, I want to trade the break of the weekly low. In this case, that would be about 142.00. I want to be short below 142.00 euro yen and trade this at least down into the 200 moving average. But we have a very similar situation on this one as with the pound yen, which is missed weekly and daily pivot from last week. We've got a bunch of missed weekly and daily and monthly pivots and so on, but I think that missed weekly and daily pivot cluster right there for euro yen is going to be very powerful, and I think the same for pound yen. So loving that. Yen pairs are looking great. So again, just to kind of reemphasize, we want to sell the brakes and get into a little bit of correction, but not push it, because we're absolutely going to be buying the dips on these yen pairs and trading them right back in the direction of the trend. But they've got a dip. I'm very much not comfortable being long euro yen, pound yen, dollar yen, anything right now, because I think they're just a little bit overextended. Doesn't mean that you have to jump out if you're long any one of those pairs, but I don't think, if I was in some profit, it would be a little bit different, but I just don't think these pairs would make good buy entries just yet. But they will after a nice dip, so let's be ready for that. Last but not least on my yen craziness here, I actually like the CAD yen a good little bit as well, and I think the CAD yen is going to be a nice opportunity. It's still working on that max pips, so I'm keeping an eye on it. That 1 hour max pips is only about half of what we normally see, but it's got kind of a nice little rising wedge on it. And we've got some nice missed pivots from last week. You know, all the same stuff we see on all the yen pairs. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, but we do want to see an improvement on those max pips. So same kind of situation. All the yen pairs basically look the same. Let's try to trade some of those corrections and then buy the heck out of those dips. Okay, those are yen pairs. The Aussie CAD, I think, is a great little setup. If the Aussie CAD continues higher, then I don't know where I would try to get into this. This is a little too choppy for my taste. Aussie CAD, it's just kind of all over the place. But one thing I do like is on this Aussie CAD, we almost have this really interesting bear flag looking kind of situation. So big rundown and then consolidation. And so that big rundown and that sideways consolidation, if we break below 97.50, we're only sitting at 98.07, so this is only a little over 50 pips away. If we break that low, I'm selling the break of Aussie CAD. And you know, it doesn't have a huge target, but I think we can at least get down to that monthly pivot for 75 pips. It's not going to be amazing, but it'll be enough, and it'll be pretty good. So let's look to be short 97.50 area Aussie CAD. That one should be really, really good. Last but not least, New Zealand dollar. We've got a position that's endlessly running on New Zealand dollar. It's failed at the 23% fib. I think I just want to simply be short more, add to shorts, add to positions, and be short below 7,700. I just can't shake this Aussie or this New Zealand dollar with this nice little double top that we had here, historic levels, and it's just right at the bottom of this consolidation. Now, yes, it can bounce and make a significant move up because this is several months of consolidation here. But what I would like to see, actually this is a couple of years of consolidation, but what I would like to see happen is a nice little break and a nice opportunity to add to some positions below 7,700 into that 7,100, 7,200 area. And in fact, I think that I'm just about as sure of this as anything, that New Zealand dollar is going to reach that 70-cent level right on the head, and that's the 200 moving average on the monthly chart. It's all very, very good looking. I love it. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. So I'm looking for that on New Zealand dollar. But we're going to look at opportunities to sell rallies, to add to our positions. We've got some positions running on New Zealand dollar, and we'll talk a little bit more about how we can adjust that in the group. But we can and should add a little bit more to New Zealand dollar in the coming couple of days and continue shorting it on down from there. And those are kind of all the setups that I'm looking at right now. Everything is going to be really yen interesting, and there's going to be some dollar activity. But surprisingly, I don't really have much of a setup on any dollar pair this week. Is many dollar pairs. We are looking at New Zealand dollar, and we're looking at dollar yen. And so those will be good, but you know, it's going to be about the yen pairs, the Aussie CAD, Aussie New Zealand. Those are all looking super good. So I'm excited about those. We have some excellent trades for this coming week, and I'm glad to be back at the charts. I was pretty out of touch last week, and it felt pretty weird. So glad to be back with you guys, and I'm looking forward to our coming week ahead of trading. So thanks for being on. Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about any questions, comments you guys have about any of this.